So there's Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero, Fate Apocrypha, Fate Grand Order, Fate Hollow Ataraxia, Fate Extra, Fate CCC, Fate Estella, Fate Kaleid Liner, Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Feel, Lord El-Melloill II Case Files, today's menu for the Emiya family, Fate School Life, oh so many fates really. Phew. And I'm guessing you don't know where to begin. Neither did I, but don't sweat it. Armed with this starter pack, you'll be ready to fight for the Holy Grail. Fate is an incredibly huge universe filled with waifus, magic, waifus, visual novel roots, Astolfo, and waifus. So many waifus. And then there's the whole mana mechanic, which I'll get into more later, but suffice it to say that replenishing mana equals sex. Wow, it got out in here real fast. I mean, some people might say that that's an obsolete mechanic right now. But no matter how vast and sexy the series is, the basic premise remains the same. It's all about snagging that victory royale. So the first spot in our starter pack goes to Fortnite. Let me explain. In the world of Fate, every so often, 7 mages compete in a battle royale. The prize? A wish from the Holy Grail. In order to participate, mages, or masters as they're known in the world of Fate, summon a servant to fight on their behalf. Servants are heroic spirits and can be, well, anyone. They can be heroes of Greek mythology like Hercules or historical figures from around the world like Jeanne d'Arc. But these famous folks might not look exactly as you'd expect them to. More on that in a second. Servants can be summoned in one of 7 classes: Sabers, Lancers, Archers, Casters, Riders, Assassins, and Berserkers. And depending on what you watch, there are more classes, but we won't cover that right now. Each class has its own set of buffs and nerfs, and they can correspond with the heroic spirit's original fighting style or personality. But they don't have to, and that's the fun of it. Hercules seems like a pretty cool dude, but he's summoned as a Berserker, so he's basically the Hulk. And I don't mean Zaddy Hulk. Finally, each master is given 3 command seals, spells that compel servants to do anything their master tells them to. So no matter how strong a servant's will is, they still have to listen to their master. Things between masters and their servants aren't always tense. Masters and servants are basically squatted up so they can fight side by side. Oftentimes, both masters and servants have something to be gained by winning the battle royale. If you're into fantasy battles, historical intrigue, wacky weapons, and Fortnite, I guess? Fate is probably for you. The Fate series is about battling to the death, so I'm going to equip you with a powerful weapon that can grant incredible knowledge. A library card. Sure, you could use it to pick up the Fate manga at your local library, or you could use it to study up on all the folks from history and mythology that make up the cast of the series. I already mentioned Hercules and Jeanne d'Arc, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Where else are you gonna find Gilgamesh, Alexander the Great, and Frankenstein's monster in one series? One of the best things about Fate is you never know who is going to get summoned next. Hinoko Nasu, the author behind Fate, has shown us that he's willing to pull just about anyone into the series. I'm looking at you, Shakespeare. And that's the fun of it. You know how you get into debates with your buddies about who's stronger, Goku or Saitama? Well, Fate puts those theories to the test. To be fair, a fight between Robin Hood and Nero Claudius wouldn't be nearly as exciting as Goku versus Saitama, but the point stands. Fate's basically celebrity deathmatch starring the folks from your AP European history test and Bullfinch's mythology. And if you don't know what Bullfinch's mythology is, it's basically a collection of myths. And it's not just your regular run-of-the-mill Gilgamesh that you'll find in Fate. No. It's Gilgamesh with superhuman abilities wielding something you can call a noble phantasm, a weapon or skill that literally runs on the power of imagination. But it's not just combat ability that makes the servants an awesome part of the series. You also get to learn about their backstories. Yes, this anime is also a history lesson. Sure, some deviate wildly from actual history and the bounds of science as we know it, but others line up pretty well with their source material. And the servants' histories are important because they affect their battle style. You'll recall that Hercules is basically a really pissed off Hulk for the duration of his time in the series because he's summoned as a berserker. Anyone who belongs to that class is basically in constant rage mode. According to Fate, one of the reasons Hercules is a berserker is because he has some regrets about how he lived his life. Altria, aka King Arthur, belongs to the Saber class. And guys, I know it's Arturia. I'm using the Fate Grand Order localization. Heck, sometimes I just call her Seibert. But that's beside the point. She's in the Seibert class because it meshes well with Arthur's classic weapon, Excalibur. In Fate, Altria is consumed by regret after losing a major battle for Camelot, and she fights in hopes of making a wish to change the outcome of the battle using the Holy Grail. There are a ton of servants across the series, so it's understandable if you don't know all of them. I mean, you've heard of Karna, Medea, or Semiramis, you get bonus points. But if you haven't, don't be scared, because the series will fill you in on their lore in due time. Fate can get pretty creative with the servants' backstories, but it goes further than that. Rule 63 exists for a reason, and it might be because of fate. Who cares if the real Nero Claudius wasn't a woman? Kinoko Nasu sure doesn't. A lot of historically male-identified characters end up getting summoned as women throughout the franchise, because waifus. In some cases, there's a specific reason. Altria purposely disguised herself as a man in order to lead the Knights of the Round Table. So being summoned as a woman makes sense, since she was already a woman to begin with, at least according to Fate lore. As for the rest, it's a simple answer. Simpler than you might think. Yes, I am talking again about waifus. I mean, selling merch. What? You mean it's not about making powerful female warriors? It's because they wanted me to buy this figurine? What? I mean, I bought them all, so it worked.
I did too.
The next spot in our starter pack goes to that mysterious art, magic. Harry Potter fans, rejoice! There is a lot of wizardry in Fate. I mean, you can't start a Holy Grail war without 7 powerful mages. While the servants do most of the heavy lifting, the masters are the ones that strategize and are the source of energy fueling the heroic spirits. Masters supply servants with mana, which is the energy that makes magic possible and is a pretty sexy fuel source if you ask me. Now's the part of the video where you press mute if your mom's around. Sometimes mana is transferred through sex. This is one of those ridiculous anime reaches where a show justifies something wacky through lore. So let me try to do the same here. Shiro is the terrible mage who uses sex magic because he wasn't fully trained and thus must rely on cruder methods of imparting mana on his servants. See? Totally normal, definitely not fan service. It's called storytelling, y'all. I mean, to be fair, this is mostly related to the visual novel and way back like in the first visual novels. Since then, it's been updated and we've got new guides and methods to impart mana. And the anime does its best to cover it up. You know, sometimes you get dolphins. But the magic in Fate doesn't stop with mana. There's also the noble phantasms, those imagination-based weapons and skills I mentioned earlier. They basically function like final smashes in Smash Brothers or when your special gauge fills up in Apex Legends. Servants can use them every once in a while to deal a devastating blow. Alexander the Great, for example, can transport enemies to pocket dimensions where his historical armies are waiting to kick some butt. Altria's Excalibur also gets a Fate makeover. It's not the humble sword in the stone anymore. It's a gigantic energy weapon that can level entire buildings. And of course, there's the whole reincarnating historical figures as waifus thing. That's pretty magical too, if you ask me. If you're feeling the magic more than the Battle Royale, there's an anime coming out that focuses entirely on mages with no Holy Grail war to speak of. It's called Lord El-Melloill II Case Files. It's basically Sherlock Holmes with magical girls in the Fate universe. It's a blast to watch, honestly. So yeah, Fate has tons of magic. But in recent years, one of Fate's most magical features has got to be its soundtrack. And we've got composer Yuki Kajiura to thank for that. And I'm only focusing on her because she's my favorite. I know y'all have your favorites. Actually, could you leave that in the comments below? We can talk about it. I really love anime music, okay? So I'm kind of passionate, just letting y'all know. We will fight. And hey, some of you might be asking, who is Yuki Kajiura? Well, you may have not heard of her, but you've probably heard some of her music, like Maruka's theme in Maruka Magica or Swordland from SAO. Kajiura is known for epic orchestral tracks that can get you pumped for an amazing battle, or lay you low after a devastating defeat. Her moving music captures the spirit of Fate perfectly. It's beautiful, it's tragic, it's Fate at its very best. So it's pretty cool that she's the composer of the Fate original soundtrack. Kajiura not only composes for Fate Zero, but also Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Feel, and Fate Lord El-Melloill II Case Files. So if you decide to stick with the main Fate storyline, then you'll be blessed over and over again by Kajiura's incredible music. That's not to say that Fate's only good tracks come from Kajiura. The music in Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works anime adaptation was composed by Hideyuki Fukazawa, and while it might not be as devastating and tragic as Kajiura's, it definitely takes you to new emotional heights. Also a shout out to Kenji Kawai. It's pretty lit. So not only does Fate have fun characters and a compelling battle for the Holy Grail, but on a production level, it's also pretty tight. The soundtrack definitely helps contribute to the series' level of polish, but there's another thing that helps Fate be so damn good. And it's so important that I'm giving it the next spot in my starter pack. Yep, it's cold hard cash at the end of the day. We've all experienced the tragedy of an amazing anime having to work around a tiny budget. And sometimes it works in a show's favor, like in the iconic ending of Eva. Other times, not so much. Luckily, Fate doesn't have to do any budget gymnastics. Sometimes it feels like Studio Ufotable has an endless amount of money to pour into its shows. Sure, it could be because of the studio's recent tax evasion scandal. But really, the praise should go to the studio's incredibly skilled animators. Yuichi Terao is the lead animator for Ufotable's Fate series, and you might also recognize his style from the Tales games and God's Eater. It's thanks to Terao's vision that Fate is known for its gorgeous, vivid colors and fluid animation. It's one of those rare shows where the art and animation gets better with each new series. And if you don't believe me, binge watch Fate Zero, and then check out Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, and you'll definitely notice a change. And don't get me started on the seamless CGI in the first two movies of the Heaven's Feel trilogy. Honestly, it gets harder to tell what's CGI and what's digital animation. So if you're a total animation nerd, or just, someone who likes to look at really pretty things, the Fate franchise is something you can't pass up. Now, I want to give an honorable mention to something that didn't quite make the cut for the starter pack, but is still a hilarious staple of the series. New fans might be wondering why this person looks pretty much exactly like this person who could be her twin. It's a face so iconic, so representative of the series, that the character designers just seem to use it over and over and over. These clones all stem from the Fate series poster girl, Altria. Altria is the OG Saber's design. This mug is widely known as Saberface, but just because Saberfaces look alike, it doesn't mean they have the same personality. Altria is a chivalrous knight who treats her opponents with respect, while another Saberface, Mordred from Fate Apocrypha, is rowdy and prefers to, punch someone until they die. She's more my girl. Nero Claudius from Fate Extra Last Encore is a total narcissist, but a strategic fighter. And Gray from Lord El-Melloill II's Case Files isn't even a servant. She just looks like a heroic spirit. But why are there so many Saber faces? Well, the simple answer is that character designer Takashi Takeuchi became obsessed with his own creation, Altria. Even the series author Kinoko Nasu agrees. He joked that he spends all of his free time drawing Altria, which is pretty cute. I mean, he's like those Instagram artists who get a little too excited over their OC. So with all this information, where do you begin? I mean, with all that history, magic, gorgeous animation, incredible music, and gender-bent blonde waifus, there truly is nothing like Fate. Just remember to, never get too attached to the Lancers. I know they have great butts and all, but don't expect them to survive the game for very long. Believe it or not, actually starting the Fate franchise is pretty easy despite what many people might say. You can jump in just about anywhere. Heck, you could even watch one of the spin-off series first and still have a decent understanding of how the universe works. But if you want my opinion, Fate Zero is the way to go to start, since it's a prequel series to the main Fate Stay Night storyline. Now, it isn't the first anime adaptation of Fate. That honor goes to Fate Stay Night 2006, but I really think it's the best starting point because it establishes the rules of the universe, the rules of the Holy Grail War, and kind of just sets everything up so that you fully understand what you're getting into. And I know some of you are gonna say that one spoils the other, but that's kind of inevitable. And if you want something completely unrelated to the main Fate universe, you can check out Fate Apocrypha. And if you want, magical girls and some fun times, you can check out Fate Kaleid Liner. Kaleid Liner, I don't know how to pronounce that. I try. And if you like food, today's menu for the Emiya family. You see, Fate has something for everyone. Okay, so for anyone who has already been part of the Fate family from the beginning, let us know how you got into the franchise and any tips you can give to the newbies. And don't forget to subscribe to GetintheRobot because, come on, it's, comfy in here.